Mortals never learn from stories how catastrophe becomes, how above the trumpets' glories and the cries of millions, Master, looms the shadow of disaster. It was the only poem I could think of as at the spur of the moment. It is Saturday morning cartoons, and I'm just here to cheer you up. Well, that's about as cheery as it gets because today I'm going to discuss for Saturday morning cartoons the Five of Cups, Disappointment. Now, if you're a tarot reader, uh, you know that you're seldom, especially with questions that concern matters of the heart or creativity stuff or plans that you've set your heart on executing. Uh, when it pops up, you sort of go, "Oh well, I'm going to have to put a good spin on this card. Otherwise, uh, it's a very disappointing card." So I'm gonna read what Crowley has to say. First of all, about the fives, and then the Five of Cups generally in the Thoth Tarot. He calls it disappointment. And look what we got happening here. It's Mars in Scorpio. Mars isn't unhappy in Scorpio, or Scorpio isn't happy to host Mars, but it it does carry with it some baggage that we don't always like to see, especially in a tarot reading. And the cups so far, okay, so far the cups in the Thoth deck have just been an absolute delight. Okay, there's the Two of Cups. Okay, then the Three of Cups, abundance. Got love and abundance. And then we've got, what is it? Love, abundance, and let's see, love, abundance, and luxury for the four. Love, abundance, luxury, disappointment. Anyway, let's see what Crowley has to say, and then I'm going to share what the few words that I have to say about it in understanding Crowley's Thoth Tarot. So let's see if I can quickly locate the before Crowley starts, and I'm reading from the Book of Thoth, before Crowley starts to talk about the individual cards, he has a few lines to say about the twos in generals and the three in general, because they all are on a tree of life. Let's see if I got a tree of life here to show. Okay. So all the twos belong there in Hokmah, and all the threes belong there in Bina, and all the fours in Hesed, and all the fives in Geburah, and all the sixes in Tiferet, and all the sevens in Netzach, and all the eights in Hod, and all the nines in Yesod, and all the tens in Malkuth. Okay, you could just lay four trees of life, one on top of the other, a tree of life of wands, one for cups and one for swords and one for discs. Okay, so he talks about the cards in general. This is what the twos are about. This is what the threes are about. Okay, but the four fives. This is what he says. In the Naples arrangement, that's a tree of life arrangement there that we're more or less all familiar with. The introduction of the number 5 shows the idea of motion. Okay, Gebura there, 5 is motion, just like Hesed, number 4, implies matter. Everything else is above the abyss, where there ain't no duality or matter or motion. Okay, so but I digress. In the Naples arrangement, the introduction of the number 5 shows the idea of motion. The result is a complete upset of the staticity or the statically. That's what I meant. Upset the statically stabilized system. Now appears storm and stress. This must not be regarded as something evil. The natural feeling about it is really little more than the reluctance of people to get up from lunch and go back to the job. In the Buddhist doctrine of sorrow, this idea is implicit, that inertia and insensitiveness must characterize peace. The adepts of the white school, of which tarot is the sacred book, cannot agree to such a simplification of existence. Sad, isn't it? Every phenomenon is a sacrament. For all that, a disturbance is a disturbance. And the 5 of Wands is called strife. On the other hand, the 5 of Cups is called disappointment, as is only natural, because fire delights in superabundant energy, whereas water of pleasure is naturally placid. And any disturbance of ease can only be regarded as misfortune. Okay. Now, what he says about the 5 of Cups generally. Let's see if I can figure out how to hold this up at the same time so you can see. This card is ruled by Gebura in the suit of water. Gebura, that's number 5 on the Tree of Life for those who aren't following. Gebura being fiery, there is natural antipathy. Here arises the idea of disturbance, just when least expected at a time of ease. The attribution is also to Mars in Scorpio, which is his own house, and Mars is the manifestation on the highest plane of Gebura, while Scorpio, in its worst aspect, suggests putrefying power of water. That's why you see a bunch of like stagnant water there. Let's see. Hang on. Yet the powerful male influences do not actually decay, only the beginning of destruction. Hence, the anticipated pleasure is frustrated. The lotuses have their petals torn by fiery winds. The sea is arid and stagnant, a dead sea, like a chot in North Africa. No water flows into the cups. Moreover, these cups are arranged in the form of an inverted pentagram, symbolizing the triumph of matter over spirit. Mars in Scorpio is also the attribution of the geomantic figure Rubius. Now, this figure, Rubeus, not talking about the card in particular here, but the Mars and Scorpio thing in the geomantic thing, Rubeus is of such evil omen that certain schools of geomancy destroy the map and postpone the question for 2 hours or more when Rubeus appears in the ascendant. Its meaning is to be studied in the handbook of geomancy, etc. Okay. The Rubeus thing, I remember the very first time when they say Rubeus appears in the ascendant. In geomancy, you draw 4 figures of 4 lines of either odd or even numbered dots. And they form 4 mothers, and from those 4 mothers, you form, you join them and add them in certain ways to form an entire series of subsequent figures, and you project them on a horoscope, on a zodiacal wheel. So if the Rubeus appears at the rising, okay, or in the very first house, you go, oh, leave my tent. Okay. And when I made my first clay box, I tried to get Constance to ask it a question. She says, I don't want to ask any dirt oracle. She called it a dirt oracle. And, I'm digressing with this story. But anyway, and she got Rubeus in the first house. And I said, sorry, that's so evil that... So that was the last time she did any kind of a geomancy thing. Anyway, so that's what Crowley has to say about the 5 of 2, 3, 4. Here we go. I'm just setting something else up here. In the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, this is how we handle it. Now, Crowley calls the card Disappointment, but a more traditional title to the card is Loss in Pleasure. And as you can see, we're right in the middle of that 10-degree period right now. Okay. Loss and pleasure. And here is what DuQuette has to say about Crowley's Disappointment card. Let's see here. That's my bookmark. And this is from the book, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot. 4 of Cups. Moon in Cancer, 20 degrees to 30 degrees Cancer. We can split hairs and call it 29 and 0, but yeah, anyway. The original title is The Lord of Blended Pleasure. Oh, excuse me. I got ahead of myself. 5 of Cups, Disappointment. Mars in Scorpio, October 23rd to November 1st. The original title, Lord of Loss in Pleasure. That's why we called ours Loss in Pleasure. A hand appears, the Golden Dawn model of this card shows a hand appearing from the clouds at the bottom of the card holding lotuses of water lilies. Flowers fall right and left and overhang 5 cups arranged in a square with one in the center. The lotuses seem to ascend between the cups as a fountain. No water comes from the flowers. All the cups are empty. That's kind of the Golden Dawn description of a traditional. And I give the queen scales, all the 4 scales of colors. The formula is number 5, Geburah, of cups, the world of Braya, plus Mars in Scorpio. And it comes out, that formula equals disappointment. Now remember, this is me talking about Crowley's description. With this card, the Suit of Cups takes a dramatic and sinister turn. This is very disappointing because the 5 of Cups had so much going for it. Discarding the configuration of the Golden Dawn model that displays 5 empty cups arranged as a square with 1 cup in the center, Crowley has Harris arrange her cups as an inverted pentagram, symbol in this place of the triumph of matter over spirit. What is it that turns this card sour? Mars rules Scorpio and is very happy in there. Not only that, all this is in Geburah, the hometown, the sphere of Mars. So where's the problem? The problem stems from the fact that Mars is too happy to be here. He gets himself too excited to indulge in foreplay. This makes Scorpio nervous. He ends up prematurely blowing such a fiery blast upon the relationship that it retards what might have otherwise been a slow process of passionate decay that Scorpio uses to devour and liberate her lovers. Who amongst us can't understand this? Water no longer pours into the cups. The lotus blossoms have become completely blown away by the hot martial wind that has turned the sky red. The sea is now a stagnant pool. Now we can see where the earlier smart cards in this suit were leading us. Okay. Love for the 2 leads to abundance, number 3, which left uncontrolled leads to luxury. It's almost too much of a good thing. It's still pretty good, but we're getting the food's getting really rich, and if we just keep it up, we're going to get gout. Which leads to decadence, boredom, fertility, frustration, and disappointment. And here in this, because of loss in pleasure, this is how sort of we handled it. There's 1 cup, and it was full. But as it tips, it loses its contents. It's sort of like one of those stop motion pictures. But it means there was pleasure to begin with. It's a hit. It's a bump in the road of pleasure. It doesn't have to be catastrophic as long as you're appreciative you're conscious of. You're an observer of situations when the cup is full. And you might want to take a nice big gulp and get yourself buzzing a little bit before you clumsily spill the rest of it. That's my wise wisdom for today. And that's it for Saturday morning cartoons. I had lots of audio visuals for you today. I was the audio. Until tomorrow for Sunday school, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.